Hello, my name is Meg Bryan, and today I'm going to be presenting my cultural plunge for diverse learning communities. What has shaped my identity? When reflecting on my personal journey and what has shaped my identity, I believe there is many aspects that have made me into the person I am today. I went to a small country school where the education was just below average. Throughout my schooling life, I was an extremely social individual. Both my parents are Australian and born and bred in my hometown, Bansal. So that's my school logo. And here's a map to show the distance between Melbourne and where I was born. I was very lucky with my schooling as I had built a strong group of friends. My friendship group throughout school stayed relatively the same throughout my whole high school life. I played in netball, basketball, and cricket teams with my friends as we all shared the same interest of sport. My social group included a diverse range of individuals, scaling from boy to girl inclusion, different cultural background, different religion, and different family structure. So that's a photo of my friendship group. A certain individual that practiced a different cultural background to my own is my friend Pat. Pat is a part of the Gurnai people. This is Pat. We completed Year 7 to Year 9 together until he was offered a Melbourne Grammar Scholarship for Indigenous students. As he had such a big part of his life in Bairnsdale, he reflected on the struggles of leaving his family and friends behind. However, Pat states, in terms of identity with reference to my Indigenous heritage, it presented me with opportunities to immerse myself in it and be proud of it. This was the key influence that shaped my identity. I find this extremely relevant as Pat examined the impact this part of his life at school had on moulding his identity today. Although my background culture may not have been the most significant influence of my identity, I believe the opportunities that I was given in high school have sculptured my individuality. These included involvement in after-school care at primary school, which offered after-school cares at primary schools, which were offered out to all students that had an interest in education and teaching. This was a key influence in confirming my passion for younger children and teaching. Moving on to positive experiences throughout my schooling. There were many positive experiences that I had at school. My most pivotal moment at school would be the chance to branch out and try new things. My school catered for all sorts of interests and hobbies. I was a part of a Catholic school, however, I came from an atheist family. This allowed me to build a better understanding of Catholicism. I was involved in off-campus excursions which brought together people that had strong Catholic beliefs to people like myself that were still learning about the religion. This created an inclusive environment and diminished the idea of only taking part if you're a Catholic. So here's an example of the mass that would take place at my school. Another positive experience I had at school was the diverse connections that I formed with individuals. My social interactions with my peers at school has had a helpful impact on my future, as I have been given opportunities I would not have had the chance to do if I did not build strong relationships throughout my school life. An example of this included a close friend connected me to a job in the United Kingdom for a year as a teacher's aide, as their parent had spent the last 5 years teaching over there. I accepted the offer and spent my gap year working with children in a prestigious school in Ascot. This was the school that I worked at. This experience shaped me as a person as I was put in an unfamiliar environment and place with people that lived in a different culture to what I was used to. When I compare one of Pat's positive experiences, I see a similarity in regards to connections, however a very different community. Due to Pat's committed relationship with the Indigenous program at Melbourne Grammar, he was given the chance to attend the Garma Festival in the isolated northeast Arnhem Land of Northern Territory, where he was among the raw culture of the Indigenous people in that area. So this is an example. These are two examples of what takes place at the Gama Festival. Without Pat creating a social network within the Indigenous community at his school, he wouldn't have had the chance to see firsthand the culture that the Indigenous people in the Northern Territory live and breathe. Effectively, Pat stated, "It made me realise I should be prouder of who I am and where I come from." I feel as though this links to the social capital theory conceptualized by sociologist Pierre Bourdieu. This is him. Just here. Sorry. This is which examines a person's position within a particular group, which provides them with a certain benefit that works to their advantage. As people build connections with others, it opens their options wider as they are creating links with more individuals that may assist their future aspirations. This parallels with both Pat and my own experience as we had to strengthen our social network to allow more inspiring opportunities to come our way. Moving on to a situation at school that impacted me negatively. In contrast, an issue that occurred throughout my schooling that has impacted me negatively was the effect of coming from a low socio-economic family. As the Australia Bureau of Statistics states, the median total income for the people living in East Gippsland in 2016 was $37,000. So here's an example of the statistics. This is well below the Australian average. This doesn't allow for many options in relation to schooling. The town had 2 local schools that didn't provide a very high standard of education. There was a grammar school 45 minutes away from my town, which is just here. This is the Gippsland Grammar uniform. This was a high level of education which produced exceptional academic results yearly. However, this school came at a large cost and was only open to families that had a high income. Individuals like Pat were given the opportunity to get an Indigenous scholarship which would provide them with the best local education. Unfortunately, this was not an option for me as my parents could not afford the school fees for 4 children. The reason I believe this has an impact on me is I feel as though I did not push myself to be better. The education at my school was extremely basic and a large amount of the students did not have a drive to succeed academically. For those like myself that need continuous support and communication to learn, I did not receive the appropriate attention I needed. It was a school that was very reliant on students' independence, and I feel as though this is what diminished my motivation to excel in my studies. When reflecting on Pat's school experience, he also came from a low socio-economic family, and although he began his high school life at Nagel, he was given the opportunity to progress into a high level of education, which has allowed him to get into his first preference of university and degree. Although this is clearly a positive effect of Pat's transition, there was also many negative effects that came with it. Pat discussed the hardships he faced with the colour of his skin. He said, "When your skin is as white as mine and you are known as the new Aboriginal kid, you constantly have people that you have never met before question your identity, which makes you sometimes question it yourself." Pat said the racial comments were what he struggled with the most throughout his high school life. Although he is someone close to me that is a victim of discrimination against race, this happens every day in various diverse communities, school being the biggest. Furthermore, Pat discussed the enormous change from a small country school to a prestigious grammar school in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne. Though Pat fought through the racist comments, he stated the struggle to fit in at the beginning of his move was challenging. "I felt like people looked down on me because I was the country kid that wasn't up with all the cool brands and things. After living in Melbourne for a year, Pat said, "Once I found the right group of mates and the ones that I really got along with, I caught on to the common fashion and things that may not have interested me when I lived in Bairnsdale. I felt as though my personality has altered, not changed in a bad way. They just all communicate in a different way to my mates back home." This parallels with Bourdaire's idea of cultural capital theory, where he examines the connections between a group of fundamentals such as clothing, skills, material belongings, and taste in different things such as music and hobbies, that one attains by belonging to a certain social class. This creates a group identity, which reflects Pat's experience soundly as he transitions from a working class group to a more upper class group of people just from moving schools. When touching on teachers' impact on student identity, I think they can have a huge impact on the students' identity. I think teachers have a role not only to teach a syllabus, but to have a profound, larger impact on students' life. Teachers are able to guide students and create environments where they should begin to discover where they are and not passionate about. Teachers are able to guide students and create environments where students begin to discover where they are and are not passionate about. Passion and identity, I think, have to intertwine. Although teachers being able to impact one's identity isn't always a positive thing, school isn't for everyone, and negative relationships with teachers may have the ability to turn someone into who they are today, just as much as what a positive relationship could. Furthermore, school isn't always a place where people discover what a person is about, and some people can form a true identity years later. Thank you for listening to my presentation.